That changed absolutely everything within our business and really led me to what I'm going to share with you guys in terms of how to do this consistently enough to see the benefits. Once we implemented the buddy system and started to do proper onboard training, started to actually take time and consider, the first thing that we've seen is that retention rate. We got it down to nearly 75% back the other way, a little bit over that. To this day, it's still in that range. Okay. So think about that. Retaining an employee is like retaining a customer. All right. In fact, most guys don't realize the math that's involved. Okay. A single productive employee, all right, within generally a service business, within all businesses, all right, and this is a blanket number, will produce about $100,000 in gross profit per year. Okay. $100,000 in gross profit. So on the other hand, the customer you're working on a day-to-day basis, very few of them are producing $100,000 in gross profit. Are they? Probably not, right? In most cases, not all, but
Wish.
most. So again, what's more valuable and what comes first, the cart or the horse, right? We got to really think this and put this into perspective. So like everybody, when I bring up sales and marketing, when I bring up they seem to be a lot more fluent on it. When we talk about their production and their culture and how they build their teams, it's almost crickets, right? They're doing exactly what, exactly what we were doing 25 years ago. And unfortunately, guys, that is why we have a labor shortage. And we can argue with it up and down, but the reality is there's more people leaving blue collar jobs than there are coming in. All right. And the reality is we have no we have more people on the planet today than we did 15 years ago. All right. So why is that? We have more people on unemployment. It's not a resource problem. Okay. It's a fundamental problem with the industry that we just haven't grown and adapted yet to properly bring people in and have them retain and see the opportunity within the trades. So the solution's training. But I think when we think training, most of us get very overwhelmed. We get stressed out about it. So today we're gonna go with the non-stressed way. All right. I'm gonna give you very practical, easy things to implement. And I want no one to leave this call with an excuse why they cannot do these things. Okay. Because everybody that is logged in on this call, all right, and I see a few of you are logged in on your phone, so that's even better. All right, has the capability in their pocket to solve this problem. Okay. So how do we do this? The 4-step training for independent employees. Number one, we're going to demonstrate once. Okay. Again, preferably with a non-authoritative employee, a buddy, somebody that, can show them. All right. We're going to demonstrate. We're going to document short videos, SOPs, a resource that they can go back to. All right. We're going to talk about that in a second. And then we're going to test. So small tasks, right? We're going to test them on it. We're going to make sure that they're competent on it and that we can put a check mark beside their name that they've accomplished that thing. Okay. And then we're going to offload. We're going to give them ownership. We're going to allow them to own that task. All right. And we're going to refrain from micromanaging it. All right. And the best way I can describe how not to micromanagement is if you ever have to start a conversation with you could have, you should have, all right, you're automatically failing this task, right? So if you have to start with you could have, you should have, all right, you failed. That means we have a gap, we have a hole, and we have something we need to fix. Okay. Show one time. All right. We're going to demonstrate the task at a time. Keep it simple, right? Record these to your phone. Think about all the things you do on a daily basis. Okay. Think about your guys unloading the truck and stuff. Could you stand there with your phone, record the stupid task, and just narrate it? Does anybody think that they'd have a problem doing that? Oh, I hear crickets. Okay.
No excuses.
No excuses, none whatsoever. It doesn't have to be pretty. Done is better than perfect. Okay. We get in our heads about these things. It's so stupidly easy. All right. But at the end of the day, we come up with all the excuses in the world. Think about it. If you never had to say the same thing twice because you had a video you could send, all right, how many hundreds of hours would this would save you? And the answer is in your pocket. Pull your phone out, record it. Doesn't have to be pretty, doesn't have to be perfect. Okay. So we set up the daily setup, the cleanup standard, the ladder safety, the customer greeting. Okay. Shoot it on your phone. All right. There's a lot. If you can get good at that, we got a whole bunch more fancier things. I'm not even going to get into all the fancy ways you can even take it to the next level. We're going to talk about bare bones, basic stuff, guys. Doesn't have to be an in focus video, nothing. Just record the thing, right? Done's better than perfect. Document. So we can use the phone videos. We can use checklists. We can use simple instructions. Okay. We can use ChatGPT to help us make these simple instructions, right? Who knew that you could take a transcript off your phone for those, right? If you wanted to get creative, you could use the Loom. All right. That's an application that'll give you a step by step based on your video. Okay. We can go on and on about how incredibly simple this is, but it all starts with you taking one affirmative action. All right. If all we had was one video clip of how to load the trailer, all right, and every new hire got that video and had to watch it, all right, demonstrated it, all right, and we took the transcript and put that through AI in a step by step, all right, two things are going to happen. Number one is we're not going to have to lead with you coulda, you shoulda, all right? We're actually going to lead with support saying, hey, here's the video, here's the how to, all right? Which one do you think would get a better impression or a better result? Which one do you think would save time? Anyone? Probably the video, huh? Right? Now,
The
again,
video.
of course. And think about the things you keep complaining about. All the things. You didn't do it this way, you didn't do that way. Guys, come on. We're in the 21st century here. It's about time that contractors stop making excuses for not providing these things. Okay? The same ones that seem to have these common complaints are the same ones posting on social media. Same ones that are making posts for themselves, the same ones that found us here. Okay. The same ones searching for answers and spending money all over the place. The answer is right in your pocket. All right. Only if you would take the time and make the effort to do it. All right. And the reward, the payback is enormous. All right. It's 10x. And you know what? You know what's really sad about this all? We know big companies operating hundreds of employees that still don't have these systems. So where's your opportunity to grow your business? Where's your opportunity as a small, scrappy business to really succeed? All right. Work smarter, not harder. Okay. Start being the example of what companies should be. All right. And start producing employees. All right. On demand. If you can do that, right? Never before has it ever been easier in history. All right. Going back 10 years ago, we would have to set up major equipment and have a video production crew. You don't need that anymore. Right. Nobody has an excuse now they can't make these things. Test, right? Small wins. Okay. This is the key here, guys. You got to understand it's not enough just to put it out there. All right. We got to take it further than that. We've got to test. We've got to make sure. And here at Contractor AI, we do it two ways. So we shoot these videos, we generate these videos for you. We help you with all these production things, but we do the practical test. Do they understand? Did they memorize the thing they need to do? Okay, great. Now we need an actual in-field test. And again, a lot of scenarios and a lot of discussion can come up. A lot of learning opportunities can come up when you create the environment for it, right? So when you test the new guy on laying out tools and sweeping properly and demoing and cleaning staging, all right? Number one is that's not going to come off as being assertive, all right? You're giving him a place to actually ask questions and get it right, and learning and the reality and having that task being performed right every single time goes up tenfold. Okay. And you're actually bringing somebody into an environment that probably you didn't get brought into that is going to make for a much more efficient, more profitable, and happier employee. Okay. Happier subcontractor. All right. So then we want to offload the ownership, give full responsibility. Okay. And what I see the most, what I see the most is contractors that have to micromanage, they have to have control. And really, when we get down below that surface of control, what I find there is that they're not clear. All right. That they don't have clarity. All right. They have it in their head and they're reacting to things. All right. And trying to show their team, but there is no standard way that they do things. All right. And I see it over and over again. They have an idea in their head. All right. But even that can change. Right. There's no standard. There's no baseline for how we do things. All right. Therefore, that's why they can't give up that responsibility. They can't get their hands completely out of standing over the team and with their micromanagement leadership. And unfortunately, guys, if you're struggling with growing your business, you have to look inside first, right? It's not an external thing, it's an internal thing. And the best way, again, I can really drive this one home for you guys and to understand is if we have a poor presentation to our staff and we treated our customers the same way that we treat our staff, or that we recruited and hired like we sell and market, all right, what do you think would happen? Right? Would your pipeline be dry? Would your recruitment lines be dry? You have to remember, guys, we are in the sales and marketing business as much as you want to deny it, but like the same effort and energy that goes into acquiring customers and how you treat your customers should be equal, if not more, attention to your employees and staff. Okay. And again, we've had this backwards for so long. All right. And I think it's a lot of old mentalities that are keeping us stuck. We're still in the master slave idea, and it doesn't work like that anymore. All right. The other thing that I want to address while we're having this discussion, and that I hear most often, is that younger generations don't want to work. And to be absolutely fair, there is definitely some that don't, and that aren't worthy of working in the trades. All right. But on the other hand, what I found is that the millennials and the snowflakes and everyone below them, if you put them in the right environment, they're actually more productive than the Gen Xers and baby boomers were. And those are statistics, those are facts. Okay. Put in the right environments. Okay. So we have to learn, all right, how to speak and communicate to that younger generation. Because I hate to say it, all right, but if you are still very dependent on those Gen Xers and baby boomers, your business is at risk, right? If you're not able to properly bring up new generational workers and have people come into your business on demand, all right, you're in for a very rough ride, and you may be obsolete very soon, okay? Because ultimately, again, like I said, we're losing more than we're putting in, and you're going to have to become dependent. So it's best that you learn and adapt to how to treat them and how to get them to be good players on your team. All right. That's much easier than having to face the alternative. Right. You'll often hear me say in terms of onboarding that we should be looking at it as a 90-day process. Okay. And that doesn't matter what position. All right. It's a 90-day process. And why is that? 48% of turnovers happen in the first 90 days. Okay. Strong onboarding boosts retention by 50%. Okay. 50%. So we all know what it costs to onboard somebody. We all know what it's doing to our business without it. All right. Micro learning accelerates skill growth by 2 to 3%. Okay. Or 3x, sorry. I'm a big fan of the micro learning, and this is exactly how I implement it, and exactly what I implement with my customers is don't try to onboard somebody in 2 weeks. Don't try and stuff 90 days worth of information and information bomb somebody in 2 weeks. Okay. That's ridiculous. All right. That's never going to work. What you want to be thinking about, and where the sweetest spot that I've found, and I've tried it every which way you could imagine, okay, is 5 to 10 minutes a day, 15 minutes max. All right. Where we're going to do a training. All right. If you have a video, perfect. Followed by a quick test. And then that signals to your buddy or to your AI, depending on how advanced you are. All right. To test them practically on that thing. If you can learn one thing, and you and have a staff member learn one thing over 90 days, right? Every day over 90 days. All right. We have 90 full things that they are completely competent at. All right. How many of these problems that you're experiencing would be alleviated? What's the likelihood of them leaving after that? Just put yourself in that position, right? You've mastered certain things within the business. You're confident, right? You've got all the things. Like number one, we would see much higher efficiency rates go up. We'd see way happier production managers and foremen and everyone downstream. That's for sure. Okay. It's going to take a lot of burden and pain off of the whole team. And just the retention number alone, if you retain 50% more employees instead of churning them over, I'm sorry to say that, but that's going to put you as a market leader very quickly, and you'll see your labor shortage problems start to evaporate over time. Not only that, but you're actually building culture, right? You're building a team that wants to be with you. And yes, this is how we eliminate babysitting. This is how we remove ourselves and remove our talent from being babysitters. Okay? Nobody wants to do that. And in this time, we don't have to. So the daily 10 to 15 minute system, right? Short training videos, small win task, AI mentor Q&A. Again, if you're interested in that, feel free to reach out to us. End of day reflection. All right. Now, again, a reflection is, like I said, that buddy or that touch point person, having a conversation with them, seeing what went well, didn't go well. All right. Talking to them like they're human, right? Goes a very long way. And again, this goes all the way up the ladder. It doesn't matter if you're onboarding a $160,000 a year project manager or you're onboarding a laborer. All right. We're still people at the end of the day. We're still human beings that appreciate human compassion and empathy and understanding. I know it's an odd word to throw into a contractor's conversation, but that's what wins, right? And I'm here to teach you guys how to win, right? So, what's AI mentoring solve? Right. So, no repeating yourself, no micromanaging, no slowing down the foreman, no more excuses, consistent answers every time. Okay. I think we did do a training last week about the AI opportunity here, but just to break it down for you, super, super easy and clear. Once you've documented all your processes, all right, a really cool thing can happen. We can actually build you a custom AI trained on just those specific training modules or training things that you're doing, all right, that can actually serve as a mentor, all right, that can be third party. So, meaning that they don't have influence. And then the most unbelievable thing happens, right? So, for all those younger generation people coming on, all right, it's no longer a novelty to have technology infused in your business, right? It's no longer a novelty. It's not a nice to have. Okay. It's an absolute necessity. And if you don't see this coming, you're out of your tree. All right. So putting the power in their hand, they have a cell phone, right? We can connect it with your knowledge base, right? That you own and you control. All right. That's going to help guide them through with a standard answer every single time that they can ask any single time. Uh-oh, there goes the babysitting, right? Is that practical or what? Now, not only is that, but you don't even have to compensate a person on your team to do these things. You can actually build an AI to do it. Is that using technology wisely, taking advantage of the AI opportunity, attracting people, right? Would that make your business attractive to a younger age group or a generation? Hell yeah. I can tell you that verbatim, right? It's to the point where, again, before long, it will be absolutely expected. And when I say before long, like look at how quickly technology has come about even in the last year. All right. I can imagine within the next 5 years, this will be the difference between 8-figure and 5-figure contractors, right? Is those who can adapt and take advantage of these systems that are available now. All right. Just to go back over the 90-day flow. All right, we've got day 1 to 7, which is stability. We want to talk about safety, culture, expectations. Okay, this is for anybody. Please take notes if you're going to implement this yourself. All right, I've been using this for multiple customers and myself. It's a bedrock foundation for building any onboarding training program. So, day 8 to 30 is your foundational skills, cleanup, communication, setup, right? Day 31 to 60 is independence. So it's problem solving, documenting jobs. Okay. Day 61 to 90 is leadership, site planning, and customer interactions. Okay. Simple 4-step, and that can be anything, anybody on your production team. Okay. If you can incorporate those things, well, so just like I like to use quick wins with our staff and our onboarding programs, I'd also like to give you guys some quick wins today. All right. So let's make this super clear and give you no excuses leaving this call for not solving some of the main problems of why you babysit so often. Number one, record 5 training videos. All right. How easy is this? You can do this in probably under an hour. All right. Daily setup, cleanup, safety, communication, and tools. All right. Reduces the babysitting rate there alone by 50%. Okay. Build a first 7-day checklist, clear steps every day. You know, that's going to cut the early turnover by 30%. Okay. So literally, when they come in and start with you, give them a checklist. These are the things that I'm expecting you to learn over the next 7 days. Here's the training to learning those things. I'm gonna give you a test, right? Or I'm gonna help it or assist you, right? Load your SOPs into an AI mentor, right? So if you want to use ChatGPT, you can even use that. I do have some cautionary things about that. If you're loading anything business wise into ChatGPT, be very careful because all of that information is actually now public. Okay, so the SLMs or LLMs are able to use that. So if you're writing these about your business and stuff, I would not use those platforms just because of the open and obvious problems with your data being shared. All right, so just a word of caution there. And you also want to make these things real. So if you go to ChatGPT, you're going to get a very generic answer. All right. I see all types of guys creating SOPs that have absolutely no relevance to what they're doing. They're not practical. All right. So again, I would refrain from doing it. But once you do have them, all right, there are ways to smooth them out and make them nicer, a whole bunch of other opportunities. Add a daily AI question or habit, right? This doesn't even have to be an AI question, right? This can be a simple question, right? So if you've got it documented, you're going to have some questions. Maybe a supervisor reaches out and asks it, okay? And do a weekly 10-minute skill review, okay? If you can do those 5 things, all right, create your SOPs, have a daily question, do a weekly 10-minute skill review, all right, and work off those 5 videos over 7 days, all right, you will see an enormous improvement in retention and non-babysitting. Okay, you'll have a happier staff member, maybe somebody that buys into your company and believes in it, right? Imagine that, right? Somebody that's loyal again. Let's stop babysitting and start building independent workers. What would your business look like if every new hire was reliable in 90 days? Give me a 1 in the chat. What would this mean to your business? Would it mean that you had more time to do more important things? Maybe get off the tools, maybe spend some more time building your sales, building your systems, building your marketing, working on the business? Of course. All right. Maybe we'd stop turning over our foremen, or burning them out, our site supervisors, our production managers. Okay. Obviously, I'll make a shameless plug for us and then I'll stop. We help contractors put these systems in place, taking all the work off your hands and adding the technology. If you're interested in that conversation, feel free to reach out to us. We'll throw our booking link in the chat. Love to hear from you. Even if you just want to bounce some ideas off, we'll take an honest look at your business and help you to come up with a game plan. At the end of the day, we want everybody and we want the whole market to improve. And again, I want to make sure that everybody that's been on this call today, all right, takes action no matter what, right? We're all very capable of taking immediate action today to solving this problem. With that said, what we're going to do next, if you guys care to, all right, so you've got a few people still on the call. I'd love to answer any of your questions you have in terms of onboarding or problems that you're experiencing, and we can have a quick chat about that. If you're feeling shy, you can also throw your questions in the chat. Otherwise, you just unmute yourself and feel free to ask anything that you'd like.
Hi, Jay.
Yeah.
Your comment about Chat GPT, what would be an alternate to that you wouldn't have to worry about your data being out there? What would be a better choice for creating an SOP?
Yeah, for us, it's how you block ChatGPT. So there's certain settings that you can set where the information is not being shared. I'd have to
Okay.
come up with that so that you can turn off those.
Okay.
The other alternative, again, is that, and I prefer this method, is when you're creating SOPs, they're very specific to your business. And some people think that you can generically write them. All right. It doesn't work. Okay. So if anybody's gone to ChatGPT and tried to write an SOP, it gets the broad idea, but it's not specific enough to be actually usable. So what I highly recommend that you do to start with, right, is shoot a video, all right, step by step. It doesn't have to be perfect, all right, and then use your transcript from that video, all right, to create the step by step in the document. right? And then if sometimes you might need to reshoot it or whatever, but that's been the go-to thing. If you have technical stuff, I use Loom, right? It allows you to just go through and at your speed and explain something, and then you can polish that down, right?
Mhm.
So
Okay.
I much more prefer those. And again, that's going to protect your intellectual property.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
Appreciate that. Thank you.
a lot of people don't know about that information, but I know firsthand, and we've had some interesting problems with the amount of ChatGPT we've experimented with. Again, I think people are realizing it now too. The information you're getting there is basically broad and wide, right? And the answers are not, if you actually know what you're talking about and you look at what it writes sometimes, ugh, it's a mess. I feel it's going to become a nasty tool for misinformation one day.
Okay. Thanks for your suggestions. Appreciate
Yeah,
it.
no problem. Anybody else? Anybody else have any
What
questions?
what platform would you build the SOPs on if you're not like on GHL or whatever?
Yeah, so again, in terms of building the SOPs, like I said, you can have a Google Drive if you wanted to, right? If you're technology, but you don't want to get into those things, have yourself a Google Drive. Label them, document, video. All right. You can use a Google form to do the test, right? It doesn't have to be complex or sophisticated. All right. And especially when you're first starting out. Done, like I said, done is better than perfect. If you want something advanced, something polished, again, that's the kind of stuff that we help contractors build. If you want to protect your data and you want to make sure that you have legitimate documents that actually are specific to your business, all right, I don't recommend that. Again, it depends on which level of business you're trying to do. All right. Not to discourage anybody, but again, there's levels to this, right? And your onboarding. Yeah, there's a number of tools out there that can help you with this. Scribe, Loom, another one that can help you. If you put everything in Loom, for example, you can have that stored there and you can just send links, right? So Loom's a great tool for doing this as well and translating and creating the step by steps.
Hey Jay, just a quick one here. I've used Loom quite a few times, but on basically on my laptop to do like a screen share for training admin and stuff.
Yep.
So you're saying it's capable of like off of your phone or something,
You can upload it into Loom too, right? So you can shoot the video on your phone,
and
right?
then just upload it into
And
the.
just upload it into Loom. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Right.
Okay, yeah, that
So
makes things easier.
yeah, totally. And again, they have things in there that will help you to build those step by step. And again, you can edit the what's been said and even change some of the stuff in there too. So
Okay.
it's very flexible.
And do have another question as well,
Sure.
just regarding the AI sort of automation that you're able to build with the
Yep.
onboarding process and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I don't know how much you can say on here, but what does that sort of look like? It would
Yeah.
have like a
So
new,
yeah,
yeah, sorry.
so I'll be completely transparent. We use a CRM, same one that we use for marketing and sales as
Okay.
we
Yeah.
use GHL.
Yeah.
We create a onboarding thing. So basically when someone gets hired, they're brought into a course, all right? And then we have what we call an off-server AI, okay? So we use an off-server AI for two specific reasons. Number one is if we build your documents correctly in the right form, all right, you can have a dedicated AI that doesn't have outside information. So again, when you think about ChatGPT and all of the other ones, they're large language AIs. Okay, so they've learned off of hundreds of millions of documents. Okay, when you're chatting with it, so think of it as a big community pool. All right. What's available now is once you have your documents and you have your information, is that we can actually train an AI that has no connection with ChatGPT. In other words, it's not pulling any data from there. It's pulling it specifically from your company documents. So meaning it can't comment on something that it doesn't have.
Okay.
And you can also teach it, it learns scenarios. All right. So a lot of how you train an AI is involved in scenario training. All right. If this happens, then this. So over time, what happens and what we're now experiencing is it becomes a knowledge base, all right, for your business. So again, every role is essentially a knowledge base. Would you agree?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. That makes
So
sense.
yeah, every role that you have. Now, in the future, what do you think is going to be the asset to your business? Like, think about this, guys. What's going to be the real asset in contracting businesses? And I'll give you a hint here. Anybody been to Canadian Tire lately? Or I'm sorry if everyone's American here, but if you go into a Canadian Tire or any big automotive shop, you'll see that they're doing just fine. They have a lot of apprentice and they have a computer that sits right beside them. Okay. And on that computer, basically, they're being told what to do step by step in every scenario, every type of objective is covered. All right. So the skills, like the actual long-term skill knowledge and all of the stuff that somebody with 30 years would have can now be transferred to somebody that just started today. So now, again, think about this with the future in mind. Like it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when, that AI is basically your middle management, right? And now is the time to start getting those knowledge base secured, right? Because now what happens is when somebody leaves your company, they're not taking the knowledge and the experience they had with you away. It's actually stored. And that is, in my opinion, that's going to be the future of established companies, is how protected their knowledge base is. And again, the best way I can explain it is if somebody is reliant or becomes dependent on an AI in your business to perform their job, all right, when they leave and they go work with a competitor who doesn't have that, do you think they would give them the same performance? What do you think? The answer is no. All right. So again, we're doing a lot of things in at many different levels at that point. All right. And like I said, if you want your business to perform in a franchise model, like this is the future for it for sure. All right, guys. I appreciate you spending your time with me this afternoon, and we'll see you again. Talk soon. Bye for now.